Growing up here on the island of Bali, that was the main driver of what made us start taking action. The natural world was our playground. You know, we would spend so much time running through the rice fields, at the beach, in the ocean. So it wasn't rocket science when we started seeing the growing plastic pollution problem around us everywhere that we said, okay, what are we going to do about it?
Melati Wijsen and her sister grew up on the island of Bali, surrounded by rice paddy fields, oceans and beaches. But they soon began to realise that their island had a big problem: plastic waste. Once they identified their problem, they looked for a solution, and they formed the grassroots movement Bye Bye Plastic Bags to put an end to single-use plastic.
Bye Bye Plastic Bags is an initiative started by children.
Since Melati was 12 years old, she has documented her journey from schoolgirl to changemaker on social media. Melati has grown the Bye Bye Plastic Bags Instagram, Facebook and Twitter accounts to 100,000 followers, with her personal Instagram clocking in at over 55,000 followers. Melati's engagements per post are in the thousands, and the accounts received big bumps to their following after Melati and her sister spoke at the UN and WEF summit.
Huge responsibility, and again, people power. We have to really step into this role and see the potential that we have.
Her followers support her work online and also join in for meetups, cleanups and educational programs in real life around the world to raise awareness about the climate crisis and to create change. The Bye Bye Plastic Bags movement has spawned new chapters and social accounts in over 60 locations around the world. Melati has garnered so much influence along the way that she was able to push for a new environmental policy to be passed by lawmakers on her home island of Bali. Now 20, Melati is a full-time activist, and as a result, she is an influencer. Vice World News caught up with Melati on video call to chat more about her initiative and plans for the future. Can you tell me about the ban of single-use plastic on the island? What was the change in the law?
Yeah, so it has been an incredible journey on the front lines, working together with many like-minded organizations and individuals, which finally pushed to the regulation or the policy change that is now in place, implemented in 2019, that makes Bali plastic bag, straw, and styrofoam free.
Saya Agung, saya dari Bali. Saya mengucapkan selamat atas Bali karena telah meresmikan peraturan anti sampah plastik.
So now, if you go to a store, the idea is that you do not get a plastic bag. But what we are saying now in 2021 as well is that really recognizing that writing a law is not the same as implementing the law. And that's why we feel that our work is still just at the beginning. It's nowhere near done. And that's what our work again revolves around right now.
As Melati rightly says, implementation is definitely where the focus needs to be. Despite the new regulations, visit any of Bali's famous beaches and you would not be hard pushed to find single-use plastic washed up along the shoreline. More than 90 tons of trash washed onto Bali's beaches during the monsoon season last year. Experts blame this annual event on monsoon weather, poor waste management, as well as a global marine pollution crisis. If single-use plastic is banned in Bali, why is there still so much plastic waste being washed up on the shores?
We have 17,000 islands. We have one of the world's largest coastlines combined throughout those islands. And of course, we have all of this plastic coming from all over the place, but also land-based plastic. One of the biggest problems, and what I've learned over my course of 8 years with bioplastic bags, is that saying no to plastic bags is a good first step, but it's nowhere near the final solution. One of those solutions on the long term is waste management, waste separation, waste facilities, waste collection, and currently that is not happening on an island-wide level.
So can you describe to us what it's like on the ground? How often will you see plastic nowadays?
In the first 6 months of that law being passed, we saw it felt like an overnight change. Although it took all these years and so many organizations to get to where we are today, it felt like, this sense of pride all across Bali. But then the whole world went on pause when the pandemic hit, and so did this progress with plastic pollution. Almost immediately as well, we saw people felt that single-use plastic is more hygienic. That was the narrative that the world was under the spell of.
Well, so in that case, as you brought up the pandemic, what is the solution?
I honestly believe that it's an opportunity for us to systemically create change, and that needs to come from the top down. These are all solutions that right now are still very privileged. And one thing that we understand with the pandemic, if we do not take care, if we do not prioritize the environment, it just means that there will be more pandemics coming in the future.
Hi, our names are Melati and Isabel.
Melati acknowledges her privilege. Since her teenage years, her parents have supported her environmental activism. However, not all young, aspiring changemakers are able to afford sustainable solutions, let alone fund their own campaign work. Many in Bali, particularly those working in the food and beverage industry, are disproportionately impacted by the plastic ban. Local resident Ajus says that plastic is still commonplace on the streets and that the ban discriminates against lower income food vendors, with greener food packaging substitutes being more expensive.
Kalau sampah plastik yang paling banyak ditemuin di Bali itu hampir semua sih, karena semua sekarang itu memakai plastik. Pemerintah bisa membantu bagaimana caranya masyarakat menggunakan selain plastik. Mungkin packaging yang lebih gampang terurai, yang bagus buat alam juga, dan harganya dimurahin, seperti plastik lah.
Melati started her activism and influencer journey while still in school, but has since transitioned her one-time hobby into a career. She must now navigate the difficult intersection of activism, influence and commercialization as she attempts to amplify her message while building her business. You have influence and you have followers, but can and should influence and activism be monetized? Can it be done in an authentic way while staying true to your values?
I think it's all about remaining very clear and truthful in your communications. I think it's about keeping that open transparency that I think is also what, as activists, we kind of expect from those people in positions of power, corporations. It's that transparency that is so important for us to be able to trust people.
How do you ensure as an activist, and in your case as an environmental activist, that you're not being used by corporations to greenwash their credentials or suit their agenda?
I've actually been toying around this new piece that I want to release about not greenwashing, but the new greenwashing, which is youth washing, right? And this is happening a lot now. Definitely young people are being used or asked to invited just for the sake of having an inspiring young person. But I think the time and the age of inspiration only is over. And in terms of greenwashing as well, because I think young people know that we don't have the luxury of time to just do a marketing campaign, to just have it as a CSR program, part of a small department of a really big company. So I think the role of young people is really to hold companies accountable.
Let's take an example from your social media pages. You've been involved in a big campaign with Levi's. Of course, the fashion industry is one of the most polluting industries in the world. Is there a trade-off between your authenticity and the bottom line?
One of the first things we always ask when we're approached by a big corporation is, can we see your sustainability report? Can we have multiple meetings with multiple people in your team? Because I think what's really important is to understand that these companies are willing to make the change a lot of the times, but again, need that extra push, that extra guidance. And I think young people can provide that really well.
After experiencing how individual people can make a momentous change, Melati is now focusing her time on developing her new project, Youthtopia. She hopes to leverage her activism experience influence, and platform to help educate and empower a new generation of changemakers.
So our Circle of Youth Network, right, they are young changemakers that already have their programs or their own projects, and they do their own thing in all sorts of different fields.
So hi everyone, my name is Shie Bastida. I'm an 18-year-old climate activist.
We're activists, journalists, and filmmakers based near.
The way Youthtopia works is together with these Circle of Youth members, we create programs such as public speaking skills, or how to organize. What's the best techniques in researching? What are the techniques in facilitating a conversation with politicians? All through the eyes of young changemakers who have done it before.
And welcome to Utopia. My name is Noah, and my name... Oh, dang it, I touched the microphone.
So do you encourage other changemakers to monetize their influence through speaker sessions like you do, or sponsorship, in order to continue their activism work?
The last few years I've been really, really lucky to be able to build kind of my speaking as a career, and also one of the ways that I earn an income. I think it's a great first step, because I also think the value of your time is the biggest value you have as an individual. And it's not just inspiring. You have words to say, you have opinions, you have solutions that you can share to inspire change. And I think that is one of the things that I've learned through my kind of experience, is that it's worth not only time, attention, but also a budget.